What's going on, everyone? Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got a lot of things to cover today because this is the season finale for Season 2 of What If Ash won the Pokemon World Championships. But before we get into that, we got a couple of things that we got to address here. First things first, the Patreon. Kevin Atron, thank you very much for the support. And also, take a look at these analytics right here. You guys, engagement is very important, so please make sure you drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload, so that way we can get this video in favor of the YouTube algorithm. But with all of that being said, let's get into What If Ash won the Pokemon World Championships, Season 2, Part 4, the season finale. I hope you enjoy. With the events of Farina behind him, Ash and his friends are en route to the harbor in Lily Cove City at the behest of Dr. Lund. The spikes in the seas of South Hoenn are becoming more troubling by the day. According to a conversation that Ash had with Dr. Lund before leaving for Fort Tree City, violent storms and deadly seas have begun to ravage the area, making it impossible for anything to make it through alive. It's interrupting shipping and causing great damage to the environment of the islands in the area. According to aerial views from drones flying over, Pokemon that normally live in the sea are washed up on the land, being left for dead. Ash, Go, and Max are troubled by this and have been moving with as much urgency as possible. However, before Ash left for Fort Tree City, he made a call to Professor Oak to make some changes to his current roster. Gliscor, Palpitoad, Talonflame, and Gigalith were all sent back for Bayleaf, Torkoal, Oshawott, and Glalie. With Ash's new team and his current rank of 869, our heroes moved on to a mostly uneventful trip, aside from a brief run-in with Hodge as he was heading to the battle tower to earn his third frontier symbol. After a minor battle between Max and Hodge that ended in a draw between his Hariyama and Max's Golem, our heroes were able to make great time, with the only thing that really slowed them down is a feeling that Ash kept getting, like something was watching them. But every time they checked, nothing was revealed. Even Pikachu couldn't sense anything, so they all just moved on. A few days later, our heroes made their way to the harbor of Lily Cove City. As they arrived in the early morning, the group is going to be forced to wait until noon of that day for the transport to the site of their next destination, Sootopolis City. They have approximately 3 hours to pass, so our heroes decide to show Go around. They collectively decide on a place where they can go and eat and buy stuff, which just so happens to be the Lily Cove department store. Heading over, the group is amazed at the sight of the place. It looks even bigger than the last time that Ash saw it. However, they waste no time in partaking in the events that are inside of the establishment. But things are going to quickly take a turn for the unexpected when a familiar voice catches the attention of Ash and Max. Turning in tandem, the two say, "May?" to which the girl is shocked to see them both. Happy to see his sister, Max gives her a big hug while Ash asks how she's been doing. May goes on to explain that she was on her way home. Then the strangest thing happened. As she stepped off the boat, she thought she heard Manaphy crying out to her. Both Ash and Max look at each other. "Hey sis, I think there's a lot that we need to get you caught up on." So they all head to grab a bite. In this process, May and Go get acquainted, and she is filled in on everything while Go is told about Manaphy and what it is and the events that happened the last time that they saw the Prince of the Sea. This is where Max begins to assemble the pieces of the puzzles, stating that it can't be a coincidence. You heard Manaphy and they just so happen to be tracking Kyogre. Max theorizes that just like Groudon was tracking Jirachi, Kyogre must be after the power that is in the Temple of the Sea, the crystals that give the temple protection from the outside world. The super ancient Pokemon must be trying to achieve some sort of primal reversion like its eternal rival. Realizing the severity of the situation, May wastes no time. Standing up, she declares she will go with the team as she pulls out her Rotom phone, purchasing a ticket for the same boat that they will be on this afternoon. With May now part of the team, time flies by as they now shift to our heroes on the boat bound for Sootopolis City. This is where they find out exactly what she's been up to in the last year, revealing that she spent time in Kalos hitting the contest scene. She's had a lot of fun, but was getting homesick, so decided to come back. While May and Max get caught up, Go asks Ash a question about the person that he said he knew would be able to read the map of Hoenn that they found. Smiling, Ash points to a man that is walking on the deck of the boat, talking with the passengers. He says with a little chuckle, "That's him." Then Ash calls out, "Hey, Mr. Briny!" Noticing the youth that brought him out of retirement, Mr. Briny greets the boy, asking how he has been. Saying that he's fine, Ash gets straight to the point and introduces Go. The boy wastes no time in rambling off more information than the old man can process. Go's overexcitement eventually causes Mr. Briny to ask him to start over, but slower. With a deep breath, Go pulls out the map and begins to explain everything. His question is, has Mr. Briny ever seen a map like this, or an island that seemingly disappears? Looking at the map with Pico on his shoulder, the sea captain looks Go into the face with a very intense stare, causing the boy to begin to shiver with nervousness. But this just leads to a briny laugh. Then he gets serious. There is an old sea tale here in Hoenn about a land that vanishes with the tides. Few have ever seen it, and even fewer have claimed to step foot on that piece of land. This whole interaction has coined the unofficial name of Mirage Island to it seemingly never being in the same place twice. Have you ever seen it before, Go asks? Shaking his head, Briny says the only information that he has is all the secondhand stories passed down over the decades he's been at sea. Hanging his head, Go sighs, as this was his last lead to Mew, which seems to be a dead end now. However, Ash tells Go not to get discouraged just yet. The fact that the stories are as old as they are means there has to be some truth in them. Once they are done with this issue of Kyogre, they will search for this island. Go smiles slightly. However, inside he feels like that no matter what they do, it will be nothing but a waste of time. With this disappointing news, our heroes enjoy the rest of the boat ride, as it will take 2 days for them to reach their destination. The rest of the ride is uneventful, with our heroes arriving in the volcano city, surprised to see sunshine with not a cloud in the sky. Go asks Max if this is correct. Shouldn't they be close to the source of the storm that Dr. Lund said was happening? Pulling out his Rotom phone, Max says they are in fact in Sutopla City. However, all the data that they have on the storm shows that it's not moved in several days. It seems to be isolated in the same area, to which Max suggests it indicates that Kyogre is the source of it. That's the only way a weather phenomenon like this would remain stationary for so long. Well, we have time to kill, Ash says. The next boat that will take us over there won't be leaving until tomorrow morning, as it's the only one that runs with all of this havoc that's been happening. So, they should explore the city for the time being. What exactly is there to do here, Go asks, to which May responds that they should head to the gym. Juan often puts on water ballets for people to see. With nothing better to do, our heroes board the ferry that carries them to the town's gym in the center of the lake that the town sits around. The gym appears to be packed. These are always popular, Ash comments. This Juan must be a great trainer, Go says. Oh, he's more than that, May responds. He's also a former Grand Festival winner, so he's mastered the whole showmanship thing. This excites Go, since the news of the map potentially being useless has had him down a little bit. So the group gets in line as everyone files into the gym. However, they're in for a surprise when they get inside. Juan is at the center of the gym, and with him is Wallace, the former champion of Hoenn. But that's not the shock that has them all wondering how. They're all experiencing it for different reasons. For May and Max, the world-famous coordinator Lycia is here. Apparently, she is the niece of Wallace, who is taking over the gym today. But the other thing that has Go and Ash's jaw on the floor is the other girl in the water performance. Chloe, they both say in tandem. Did she say she was coming to Hoenn, Ash questions? But Go says no. He has no idea what's going on. However, they have to do something. While Eevee appears to be having fun with the festival champions, Chloe is another matter. She's frozen in fear at the sight of being in front of so many people. May can see this and recognizes the sight of someone not ready to do something like this, as she has seen it many times before. So she says she has an idea. Hey Ash, do you have any water Pokemon with you? Yeah, he says. Then I got a plan. May then brings everyone in close to explain. She had better hurry though, as the performance has just begun and it's supposed to be about an hour long. Luckily, things move fast, as when Milotic, Kingdra, and Altaria are all presented, May and Ash make their move as Blastoise fires an Oshawott into the air from behind everyone. This catches the attention of the whole room as Oshawott returns fire to Blastoise, only for it to be frozen with a blizzard from Glaceon. This is where both May and Ash come sliding down the frozen water road on Blaziken as it spirals to the stage below. Just as the fire chicken dismounts the ice path, it hits the road with a sky uppercut that shatters it, creating sparkles in the air. But this isn't over, as to top it off, Pikachu uses a Thunderbolt connecting to each of the ice shards, creating a spectacle that glows in intensity before a burst happens, revealing Ash and May with all of their Pokemon on the stage. The crowd erupts and cheers, treating the small improv as the main act. Turning, Ash and May greet the host of the show. Juan instantly recognizes Ash, while Lycia immediately knows who May is. Ash, May, what brings you to the show today? Juan inquires, completely enamored by the show that they just put on. Our friend Chloe was here, so we thought she could use some company. I see, Juan says. Well, everyone, please give a round of applause for our surprise entrance. They have proven their mastery of not over just water Pokemon, but any typing when it comes to putting on a show. Ash chuckles, saying it was all May. He only assisted, as he walks to Chloe to provide some support to her. As he reaches out his hand, a look of relief washes over her face. Ash then says he's only in town for the day so he wanted to make sure it was a memorable one. This is where Wallace steps forward, finally being able to place where he had seen the boy before. "Well, your entrance was grand," he says. "I wonder if you would be up for helping us and giving these lovely people a show, since you want to make it memorable." Everyone thinks that Wallace is talking about May, but it's quickly revealed he is addressing Ash when he points to the boy. Wallace proclaims that he's taken over the gym as of today from his mentor Hoenn, so he would like to make his first day as gym leader one that the people of Sootopolis will never forget. "Well, what do you have in mind?" Ash questions as he quickly gets an answer, with a Rotom ref hovering above and his phone going off signaling that Wallace has requested a coronation battle. Wallace states that Ash has been climbing the ranks and creating quite the name for himself as of late, so he would like to test the boy today. Wallace's current rank is 750, so if Ash can grab a win here, then it will be a huge jump for the boy and he will be one step closer to battling Leon. "Okay," Ash says without hesitation, drawing the attention of everyone on him, allowing May to get Chloe off stage unnoticed. Lisa and Juan grow excited and ask the crowd if they wouldn't mind a massive change to the show's itinerary. With overwhelming cheers ringing throughout the gym, the crowd has made the decision. Ash and Wallace take their positions as the Rotom ref hovers above, explaining that this will be a 2-on-2 with substitutions. The battle will be over when one side is out of all Pokemon. "Now, begin." Ash wastes no time in calling for Oshawott as it is already out of its ball. As for Wallace, he elegantly tosses his Pokeball, calling for his Swampert to start the battle. With a signal to start, Ash wastes no time calling for an Aqua Jet. Wallace isn't fazed by this, simply ordering Swampert into the pool below to avoid it. However, the gym leader gets a pleasant surprise when he learns that Oshawott has mastered the ability to shift mid-air while using the high-speed move, allowing it to follow the Hoenn starter. But this was merely a ploy, as Swampert shows why it's at the superior evolution when Oshawott is caught in the currents of the whirlpool the moment that it broke the water's surface. All Ash can hear is the cries at the first stage as it circles, unable to really do anything. Ash yells for it not to panic. "Use an Aqua Jet and ride the current to gain speed." Heeding Ash's command, Oshawott does just this, gaining enough to break the wall of water. However, Swampert is on the outside to meet the Unovan starter as Wallace orders a mud shot in the attempt to blind the otter. But this is where Wallace sees firsthand just what Juan experienced all those years ago, as Oshawott shoots past at blinding speed with Ash telling it to use a razor shell. Readying its scallop, Oshawott strikes Swampert across the chest with all the power that it has gained from the speed behind it. The fully evolved Mon is left holding its chest as Wallace orders it out of the water. They will bring the battle onto land. Emerging from the water, Swampert slams its lumbering frame down on the land half of the battlefield. Ash doesn't want to give it any time to recover, so he orders another Aqua Jet from Oshawott. Shooting out of the water, the first stage locks in its target as it flies through the air. However, Wallace won't fall for this again as he tells the starter to use an Ice Punch on the water that had come up with it from its jump, forming a protective shield around it that Oshawott crashes into, losing all of its momentum before the icy glass shatters with a sparking aura as Swampert fires another mud shot. This connects with the first stage, sending it into the ground at Swampert's feet. Oshawott struggles to stand, refusing to be bested, but Ash conceded that they need a new strategy, so he recalls it for the time being. "I can see what my mentor said about you is true, Ash. You have an uncanny ability to think on your feet, which serves you well in high-stakes battle. I must say, even though that last altercation didn't go well for Oshawott, it is well trained, and I look forward to seeing it later in battle." Ash thanks Wallace for the compliment, telling the leader that his Swampert is powerful, but he can tell that it has been trained to perform with how it moves when attacking. However, now our hero must choose his next Pokemon. He knows that it may define the stakes of this battle, and he can't afford to be wrong about it. But just like Wallace said, Ash thinks on his feet, and he always goes with what feels right. "Bayleaf, I choose you!" The mid-state starter emerges from its ball, happy to be chosen by Ash. At first, the grass type rushes Ash to show its affection, which reveals a slight wholesome moment for everyone as their hearts slightly melt. Now red in the face with some embarrassment, Ash tells Bayleaf that there will be plenty of time for that later. Now they have a battle. Shifting its tone, Bayleaf turns its gaze to Swampert and Wallace, to which piques the interest of the water specialist. Bayleaf then jumps into action as the Rotom ref then calls for the start of the next battle. Once again, Ash takes the lead in calling for a Vine Whip, but Wallace won't let his starter's greatest weakness even get close as Swampert is ordered to use Whirlpool to raise its defense, blocking the attack. This is where Ash gets bold hold, ordering Bayleaf in with a body slam, to which piques Wallace's curiosity. But he knows that Ash has something up his sleeve, so he tells Swampert to use a mud shot to defer the attempts of the grass type. However, Wallace's overanalysis of the situation is going to cost him here, as there was no secret motive to Ash, as Team Stubborn shows Wallace what being a little hard-headed can do, with Bayleaf tanking the attack only to slam into the chest of the water type. This connects in the same spot that Oshawott had hit with its razor shell. The impact is enough to cause Swampert to double over in pain, as due to the accurate or lucky aim of Bayleaf, it's triggered a paralysis in the Hoenn starter. Seeing there is trouble with his Pokemon, Wallace orders a rock slide in an attempt to put some distance, but Ash isn't going to let it get away, as Bayleaf uses a Vine Whip once more, locking it in place as the boulders form overhead of both of them. The last thing the audience sees is the two being crushed under the rocks, leaving everyone silent. However, slowly things begin to stir as some of the boulders tumble down, revealing that Bayleaf had done the only thing it could do to save itself, and literally used Swampert to block the attack as it ran under the Mon while the boulders fell on top. This resulted in the starter being knocked out by its own move. Wallace recalls the water type, telling Ash while that was very unconventional, using an opponent's attack against them is one of the best tools in the arsenal of a Pokemon coordinator. Though your move was very unrefined, I still must applaud the creativity you showed in battle. Thanks for the compliments. I think, Ash says. While this is happening, Juan and Lisa are talking about Ash. She sees him as a brutish kind of trainer that has no real technique. While she acknowledges he has skill, she is very put off by the way he moves, with a lack of grace or pizzazz. But Juan reassures her that there's more going on here than she can see, so if she were to stop criticizing and watch, maybe she will see it as well. Then we shift over to Go and friends. They are trying to figure out why Chloe was here. The girl explains that she came out here because school is on break right now, so she thought it would be a good idea to travel with Eevee a bit so they can see what the world offers the two. They arrived in Slateport last week and were heading up the coast, walking and seeing the cities. But as soon as they got to Mauville, they boarded a boat that was supposed to sail to Lily Cove. But the storm that was happening around here forced it to dock in Sutapa City instead. Then I ended up here. After being here for nearly 2 weeks, Eevee and I were getting bored, so we decided to check out the show. Then Eevee decided that we should be in the show, so I got suckered into it against my will. That girl Lisa wouldn't take no for an answer. Then you guys showed up and saved me. Thanks for that, Chloe says as she introduces herself to May. She says not to worry about it at all. She's glad to help. Back on the battlefield, Wallace is preparing to reveal his final choice, telling Ash that he has mastered the elements of water and grass, but I've mastered them both at the same time, as he calls for Ludicolo as his final Pokemon. As the dual type dances around, Ash decides that Bayleaf could use a little bit of rest, so he recalls it and declares, Oshawott, I choose you. As the otter pops from the ball, it watches Ludicolo as it dances back and forth while chanting its name. This causes the water type to do the same, as it seems Ludicolo's energy is infectious. Well, it looks like our two Pokemon want to have a little bit of fun, so let's make it an interesting battle, Ash. I couldn't agree more, he responds, as the Rotom Ref signals to start and Wallace takes the first move this time, calling for a Water Pulse. All of the vibrations of Ludicolo's movement amplifies the water attack as it barrels down on Oshawott. Thinking it would be a waste of time to attempt to dodge, Ash orders a Hydro Pump, trying to match the power that Ludicolo puts out. However, this Water Pulse has more ferocity than the Water Pump, as Oshawott is overwhelmed, being consumed by the attack. Ash yells for it to break through with a Razor Shell, to which the starter is able to do so. But once it emerges, Oshawott is dancing like Ludicolo once more. Ash tells it to stop playing around, they have a battle to win. But the water type ignores Ash in favor of dancing even more. This is where it sets in that Oshawott has become confused, and Wallace takes full advantage of this by ordering a Thunder Punch that puts Ludicolo on top of the starter. Ash calls for a counter in another Razor Shell, but Oshawott just wobbles about, ignoring Ash, but also causing the electric type attack to miss as well. And then with Ludicolo so close, seemingly for no reason at all, Oshawott comes to its senses. Noticing this, Ash orders it to use this to their advantage by using a Razor Shell once more. With the Stereotype being so close to the new Unova starter, Oshawott is able to connect for a decent amount of damage, but as the attack completes, the confusion sets back in, and Ludicolo is able to capitalize on it with a successful Thunder Punch that drives Oshawott into the ground, ending the battle. As Ash recalls the otter, Wallace commends Ash on his Pokemon's tenacity. Oshawott was able able to break through just long enough to land an attack in a critical spot, as it is revealed that Ludicolo took that razor shell to one of its legs, making its movement difficult, as the dancing has subsided for the time being. Smiling, Ash holds the ball of his last Pokemon in his hand, declaring, "Bayleaf, I choose you!" And the Grass Brachio emerges, ready to finish things that Oshawott couldn't. With Ludicolo's movement limited, Ash figures that Wallace will try to keep things at a long range. This is confirmed with the start of the battle, and Wallace calls for an energy ball. Ash tells Bayleaf to use Vine Whip to knock it away, allowing the starter to get in nice and close so that Ash can use its secret weapon. However, this is where it's revealed that this is what Wallace was working for, as when Bayleaf closes the gap, Ludicolo catches more air than Jordan as Wallace commands a flying press. The musical magician uses what strength it has in its good leg to leap just above Bayleaf, causing it to panic. As Ludicolo brings all of its weight down, Ash yells for Bayleaf to use Vine Whip once more in an attempt to block the attack. However, the force is too great, and at most, Bayleaf just changes how Ludicolo lands as all its weight comes down on the grass starter. While the lily pad duck struggles to get up, it is revealed that Bayleaf wasn't fully taken out. The Jotonian starter struggles to get to its feet as Ludicolo is forced to hop back on its only good leg. This is where Ash sees what happened. While the Vine Whip didn't block the attack, it forced Ludicolo to bring all of its weight down on the bad knee. If it couldn't move before, then it sure won't be able to now. Wallace, realizing the unfortunate luck that has befallen his Pokemon, questions if it can still battle. With a brief giggle to signal that it's still got gas in the tank, the next altercation begins with the gym leader ordering another water pulse. Bayleaf is finally to its feet, however Ash knows that they need to make this next move count, because there is a good chance it will be their last. Our hero orders Bayleaf to take the attack, using it to amplify the move that Ash orders, Work Up. This psychs out the grass type, causing it to sharpen its focus. Now, Bayleaf, use Body Slam. Rushing in, Bayleaf puts all the energy it has left into the attack, hoping for a break like the one that they had earlier. Wallace calls for another water pulse. This attack hits its target, causing the grass starter to slow in its assault, but Bayleaf still pushes through as it slams into Ludicolo. Wallace realizes that this is their final chance to pull a win, so he calls for a Thunder Punch. As Mr. Jiggles charges its fist, things for it go south, with Bayleaf delivering one final move at the command of its trainer, Petal Blizzard. Suddenly, a swath of flower petals engulf the two before Ludicolo can complete the attack. Being carried away, Wallace can do nothing but watch as his Pokemon is dropped at his feet with spirals in its eyes as Bayleaf stands, breathing hard and barely able to move. The Rotom ref makes the call as Ash for the winner, as our hero runs out to Bayleaf, hugging and squeezing it with all the affection the grass type can handle. It's at this point that Ash's phone goes off. With such a big win here, his rank makes a massive jump from 869 to 744, while Wallace will drop to 800 flat. The crowd is left speechless as Juan addresses them. Please give a round of applause for our two combatants and their Pokemon. It was stated that you would never forget today's festivities, and I do believe that was delivered. As Juan looks in the direction of Leisa, she just stomps her foot before walking off as Ash and Wallace address the crowd and their adoring fans. Wallace thanks Ash for the battle. You didn't disappoint. I have a feeling you will go far in this tournament. Just keep pushing. I'm sure you and your Pokemon will meet Leon in the finals if you do. With that, the festivities come to an end as we fade to that night with our heroes at the Pokemon Center, filling in Chloe on everything that's been happening. This is where Leisa approaches the group, commending Ash on beating her uncle, to which Ash thanks her, a bit lost on who she is talking about. May smacks him in the back of the head, telling Ash that no matter how much time passes, he's still the same dense kid he always is. This is Leisa, the current winner of the Grand Festival of Hoenn, and the niece of Wallace. Sorry, Ash says, I'm not that caught up on things in the world of coordinators. Well, you should be, May says. This gets Leisa and the others to be a little bit afraid of her, as May and Ash argue for a brief moment, but this stops when Chloe yells at the two. She's had a long enough day with more stress than she ever wanted. This doesn't help. Everyone stops frozen in place at Chloe's outburst. This is where Leisa asks Chloe to elaborate on what she meant by what she just said. Looking down at Eevee, Chloe says that while she knows it had fun today with the water demonstration, she's not exactly the type of person to do well in big crowds, so she was really uncomfortable on stage. The whole thing felt forced, and she froze out of fear. The top coordinator takes a moment to reflect on what Chloe said. Leisa was so caught up in the spectacle that she forgot to see if Chloe was actually having fun. Realizing her mistake, Leisa apologizes to Chloe. She didn't think that it would be a problem, and sometimes gets so wrapped up in things that she doesn't see the whole picture. Chloe says it's fine, but in the future, Lisa should slow down when it comes to her performances. She may catch things that she would have otherwise missed. You got it, the girl says, but the reason I came here is to talk to Ash. Juan said that you were a great trainer. At first, I didn't see it in the beginning of your battle, but the more I watched you battle with my uncle, the more I think I came to understand. I got to see a side of my uncle that I never have seen before today. It was a genuine love for the Pokemon battle without the stress of having to put on a show. That's something I think we as coordinators forget sometimes, especially we are at a high level like us. This is something May can understand, as having traveled with Ash, his love for the purity of Pokemon battles is something that is infectious. It's what actually got her to travel in the first place. The time she and Max spent with him is what helped them become the people they are today. Ash thanks Lisa for the strange but oddly satisfying comment. The girl then asks Ash if he would like to have a battle at the gym tomorrow for their show. It starts at noon. However, Ash declines. While he is always up for a good battle, they have something that is important and will be leaving first thing in the morning when their boat arrives. If all goes well, then they will be out of Sootopolis City by 10 a.m. Well, that's a shame. I guess I will just have to wait then, Lisa says. The next time you're in Hoenn, you owe me a battle. Ash laughs, telling the girl no problem. She may just have to remind him. The group just laughs some more as the night fades on. The next morning, our heroes find themselves standing on the docks just outside of the city. They can see the boat that they are supposed to be boarding. However, Ash has a strange feeling that he can't shake, like there is something watching them. Go ask Ash if he's okay. The boy says everything is fine, but he just feels like something is off. Well, it could be that we are about to head into certain doom, Go says with a nervous laugh. Maybe, Ash thinks, as the boat docks and everyone boards. It takes a little bit of time for the boat to get underway, as this is also a supply run for the people that live out in the remote parts of Hoenn that are unable to make it to the mainland for supplies. Max comments that whoever is still doing this must be a great person. It takes a lot of bravery to captain a ship in a time like this, or they are extremely reckless, Go says. It's a surprise that this thing isn't at the bottom of the ocean with how old it is, the boy quips. Hey, I'll have you watch your tone, young man. A very stern and salty voice says from behind the boy. Turning, Go is met with an old man that strikes fear in his very soul. But Max and Ash seem unfazed as they apologize for their friend. Wait, you two know this man? Go questions, to which Max states that this is the strongest member of the Hoenn Elite Four, the Dragon Master Drake. Oh, that explains things, Go says. An Elite Four member would be strong enough to handle this type of job. However, Drake quickly corrects the boy, telling him that even if he wasn't an Elite Four member, then he would still do this. But why, Go asks? It's simple, because people are in need of help. So I am able to, and as such, it is my duty to do so. Well, it looks like you guys are packing up a lot. It seems you have a lot of people to get to. Actually, we are not making a run as of today. There's something more pressing that has forced my full attention. May ask what this is, to which Drake turns to reveal a person that Ash, May, and Max haven't seen since Ash was in the Kanto Battle Frontier, the Pokemon Ranger Jack Walker, or Jackie for short. A bit stunned, as Ash hasn't seen him in a long time, the boy asks what Jackie is doing here. But the Ranger's tone is very serious. I need your help. Not just Ash's, but you too, May and Max. Chloe and Go just stare as their friends question what is going on. Jackie asks if they remember their last encounter and the person that they helped him capture. How could we forget, Max says. That guy smelled like salami and chatot poop. Thanks for the description, Max, May replies. However, Jackie remains undeterred, explaining that last month, Phantom escaped a highly secure facility. The way he broke out is not yet known, but as soon as they knew he was gone, they contacted me, as I was the one that had the most experience in dealing with him. I tracked him all the way here to Hoenn, but lost his trail when we reached Moss Deep City. Do you have any idea where he could be, Max asks, to which the Ranger shakes his head. That is why I asked Drake for help. I figured with his knowledge of Hoenn and its oceans, they may be able to find something. But now I think we have been blessed with a golden opportunity. I think Phantom is after the Sea Temple again. This causes an uproar among our heroes, but for different reasons. For Chloe and Go, it's obvious as they have no idea what this is, while May, Max, and Ash are all visibly distressed about the situation. What is this Temple of the Sea? Go asks. May explains that it is the last city of the people of the water. They lived thousands of years ago all over the world, but the temple was their capital city. However, war ravaged the people of the water by outside forces looking to claim the temple's power for their own. So, in order to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands, they set it adrift in the world's oceans to be lost forever. Then how would this Phantom guy be able to find it? Chloe inquires. Well, Well, the only way we know for sure is the mythical Pokemon Manaphy. It lives in the temple, and it can find it no matter where the two are in the world, Max answers. Great, so an invisible temple underwater that can only be found by a Pokemon that few people have ever seen can reach this place. So how are we supposed to get there, Go questions. That's a good point. Truth be told, in order to protect the temple, the Rangers never tracked it, just in case something like this would ever happen. But now, with no Prince of the Sea, there is no true direction to be headed, Jackie says with a sigh. However, this is where May drops to her knees as she lets out a blood-curdling scream while holding her head. Everyone rushes to her side to help with any way that they can, but the pain she is feeling persists for several seconds until the girl collapses from the stress, leaving everyone in stunned silence. Drake orders one of the deckhands to take her to the med bay to be looked after. With no real direction to go on, the rest of the group retreats to the bridge as Drake and Jackie look over aerial views of the surrounding seas in hopes of finding any leads among the chaos of the region. It's here that the tracker for Kyogre begins to go off once more. The Titan is on the move. The beeping is so intense that Drake tells them to shut it off. The old sea dog can't think with all of that racket, but Max tells him it isn't possible. They were tracking Kyogre because of the spikes in the energy that they have been tracking. Jackie then asks if he can see that tracker. Handing over the tracker, the ranger takes a quick look before his eyes widen, and he asks who gave this to them. Ash replies Dr. Lund of LaRouche City. He's the one that asked us to check things out in this part of the region. Jackie then asks Drake to call the professor. Moments later, a live feed to his lab is connected on the main screen, and Jackie wastes no time getting to business. Dr. Lund, my name is Jack Walker. I am a Pokemon Ranger tracking a very dangerous criminal. Did you have a break-in or any of your equipment go missing recently within the last few weeks? Dr. Lund confirms that they had someone download some encrypted files they had on the phenomenon that's been happening in southeast of Hoenn. However, they were unable to determine who it was. When did this happen exactly? Jackie asks. About a month ago. Dr. Lund, can you send us everything you have on that incident? I think that the person I'm looking for may be the one who stole your data. Yes, at once, Lund says. This is where I ask what Jackie is thinking. The ranger tells everyone that he's thinking there may be a pattern that everyone has missed. The Sea Temple may be closer than they think. Phantom knew this, and that's why he broke into the lab. It's here, the downloads finish, and Jackie asked for it to be displayed on the screen. Then he asked for them to shift day by day over the last 60 days to compare the aerial views with any spikes in the energy. The group painstakingly looks over each picture for anything that appears out of the ordinary, but it appears there is nothing here. The cameras did not capture anything on the days of the spikes, but then Drake, with his old salty demeanor, breaks the silence. There, he says, pointing at the screen. I've sailed this area hundreds of times, but the way the clouds move suggests that there is something there. Well, yeah, there are hundreds of islands in that part of Hoenn, Max says, so that shouldn't be a surprise. True, but in that exact area, there is nothing that would be tall enough to change the flow of winds that carry the clouds. There never has been in my many years of sailing the seas of Hoenn. While this does not say the temple is in that area, this is the best lead that they have to go on, and the direction just so happens to be in the heart of the storm. However, this is where May appears at the door, weak from the encounter she just had. She confirms Drake's suspicions. May, everyone yells, rushing to her side, to which Max asks if she is okay. The girl says she will be fine, but they have to hurry. Slow down, Ash says. What exactly happened to you out there? May explains that it's Manaphy. The mythical reached out to her. It's in distress, and all of its emotions flooded into her at once. It is in a panic as the Sea Temple is currently trapped, unable to move, while it's being attacked by Kyogre. She could see everything from Manaphy's eyes. The creator of the sea is rampaging like a mindless beast, smashing itself into the barrier without remorse. What is it after, Drake says. May says she doesn't know, but Kyogre is radiating in some sort of energy that is causing it to temporarily change forms each time it smashes the barrier. Ash, Max, and Go all look at each other as they all share a flashback to Farina and Groudon. We need to go, Ash says. If Kyogre is at the temple, then it must be after the energy that is inside, the source of the barrier's power. Drake then gets on the comms, commanding all hands on deck. They are setting sail. There is a flurry of activity across the ship as everything is fastened down. Turning to the girl, it looks like our missions are one and the same, Jackie says. May tells the ranger she hopes Phantom hasn't beaten them there, as the barrier is meant to keep anyone out that attacks the temple. But with it weakening with each moment, the thief could walk in and take everything he wants. Jackie assures her they will find a way to make it, because there is no other choice, as the engines of the mighty sea vessel all roar to life, and they set sail for the heart of the storm. Unfortunately, this is going to take a few days, as the area they need to be in is the farthest part of the region, and with the sea not exactly calm, the boat will have to proceed with caution in order not to run into any problems. So the crew does the only thing that they can, as Ash, Max, and Go all help out with whatever task the ship needs done, while May and Chloe get a chance to become really close as she explains about her time with Ash and how they met Manaphy. They then get on the topic of contests and how well May does. While this is happening, Evie is playing with Glaceon, and Chloe asks why May chose that evolution for her Eevee. May explains that she felt an ice type is what she was missing from her roster in contests. So when she took a trip over to Sinnoh, where she met Ash again, she made a brief stop in the northern part of the region in hopes of catching an ice type, since Sinnoh has so many different ones. However, she ran into a problem when they were there and got lost. Her and Evie spent hours trying to find any signs of civilization without success. Then they decided to hunker down for the night in a small cave so that they were out of the storm. While they were able to survive the night, the next morning was truly magical. Once they exited the cave, in the distance they saw something sparkling. They thought that it may have been a person, but what they found was way more beautiful. A stone, as cold as ice. Me and Evie could do nothing but stare at it, almost entranced. Then we both reached out to touch it. The rest is history. Evie evolved, and I got my Ice-type Pokemon. Chloe goes on to explain about her Eevee and its inability to evolve. She's worried that it will never evolve because Chloe isn't good enough for it. This is where May tells Chloe that she shouldn't worry about evolving the normal type. Just make sure Eevee is happy. If it wants to evolve, then it will. Chloe thinks about what May told her, as it's the first solid advice she's had since she got the normal type, as the boat pushes through the storm. Now we switch perspectives over to Go as he finds Drake on the bridge. The boy is nervous because of what he said about the old man's boat, but he has something serious he needs to ask the elite. Go, stiff and shaking, approaches the Dragon Master and asks if Drake can help him with something. Looking at the boy with the glare that causes Go to freeze, several moments pass until Drake tells Go to spit it out. He has a lot of things to do. The boy snaps out of his trance and presents the map that he found back in Stow-Inside. I was wondering if you could take a look at this map. Drake remains quiet at first, but then takes the map from Go. Yes, it's very old. Older than I am, the man says. Well, yes, but that's not what I wanted you to look at. Go then points to the corner of the map that has the Mew Island on it. Have you ever seen this place, the boy asks. Drake looks at the boy and says, before I answer your question, tell me, why do you hunt Mew, boy? This throws Go off, as he didn't say anything about Mew. Well, it saved me, he says. When I was a kid, I got lost with Chloe, and it saved me. Ever since then, I've wanted to see it again, and catch it. Drake looks at the boy with a soul-piercing gaze. Go clenches up, waiting for some sort of response from the old man. The silence is mind-numbing, and the boy is losing it. But Drake then speaks, telling Go that Mew is a one-of-a-kind Pokemon. They call it a mirage, so from someone who have claimed to see it, it means only one of two things. Either the person is lying, or they have ill intentions. So my question is, which one are you? Neither, Go yells. I don't know why I want to catch Mew. I just know that it's something I need to do. I've been alive for many years, boy, and not every reason makes sense to other people. But what you just gave me is the truth, which is all I wanted. This map is old, older than anyone living today. I've only ever seen one other copy of it when I was exploring the wreckage of an ancient submarine. I believed it to be one that belonged to the people of the water, that your friend May had told us about. You see, in ancient times, the Sea Temple wasn't the only thing that used barriers to keep things out. Most of their settlements used them to hide their secrets and to keep their people safe. For centuries, the people of the water hid in plain sight while the world outside passed them by. But as other cultures grew more advanced, they were quickly discovered. And so in order to prevent their treasures and secrets from being discovered, they destroyed most of their own culture, including sinking many of their vessels that could find the Sea Temple in order to keep it safe. Well, what made you think that the wreckage belonged to the people of the water, Go asks. Because it was modeled after a Kingdra. The people of the water held Kingdra in the highest regard, only Manaphy being higher. All of their ruins that I've explored are adorned with paintings of Kingdra. It is my belief that the reason the people of the water went undetected for so long is due to them camouflaging themselves as Pokemon. This map is a depiction of a settlement that used to be in that part of Hoenn. It was supposed to be a shrine to represent the bond between the land and sea, but when the people vanished, the island, like the temple, was left to the mercy of the elements. Over the centuries since this happened, many people have seen the island island only at certain points. I suspect it's because the barrier had temporarily fallen, revealing a forgotten place. How do you know so much about that place? Go asks. You talk about it like you've been there before. It's because I have, Drake says. Many years ago, when I was still a young lad, a ship I was on met misfortune in this area of the region. I found myself stranded at sea, the only survivor. Days I floated clinging to a piece of driftwood. Then I saw it. An island appeared from nowhere. I used all of my strength and kicked for it, but as I moved, it seemed like my eyes were playing tricks on me. The land faded in and out like a mirage. So I picked up my pace, hoping that I wasn't hallucinating. Luckily, I wasn't, and I found the island. There was a vast temple complex and shrines to the ones called Mu and Manaphy, as well as Kingdra. I found remnants of a culture lost to time. I spent days on this island, recouping my strength while exploring. Then, one day off the coast, I saw boats passing by. I knew it would be my only chance to get off the island, so I tried to signal with the fire, but they didn't see it. I was forced to resign that the only way I would get a chance is to swim. Gathering what supplies I could, I took back to the water. It was a struggle, but I eventually made it, and the captain asked me where I had come from. But when I turned to explain, the island was gone, and that was the last time I saw it. It's been 60 years since that day, and since then, I've spent my life dedicated to the sea, protecting what was still around while trying to preserve and rediscover the culture of those that has been lost. In this moment, Go realizes why Drake asked him the question. The old man aims to protect anything that is tied to the sea. That includes Mu. Go then asks a question that is on everyone's mind. How does he know where they are going? Smiling, the old sea dog tells Go he hasn't been listening. The people of the water worshipped Manaphy and Kingdra as the gods of the ocean for one reason, because they were its masters. Every wreckage I've ever found or ruin I've ever explored had one thing in common. Kingdra were somewhere close by. Drake then reveals a radar screen with some bleeps on it. Kingdra gives off a slight supersonic frequency that we don't normally care about because it's what causes the whirlpools they create. But I've seen it used for one other purpose. They use it to find a breeding ground, or in our case, a way home. You mean the Sea Temple, Go says. Exactly, Drake responds. And if you chart our path, you can see that the Kingdra are headed in one direction, the Eye of the Storm. That's how I know we are on the right path. And at this rate, we will be there by midday tomorrow. Go looks ahead to the storm. If what Drake says is true, then he knows what his next step is going to be to find this Mirage Island. Now we shift over to Ash and Jackie as they stand on the deck looking out into the Eye of the Storm. Jackie inquires how the boy has been and what Ash is doing these days. Ash explains a brief history since the last time they saw each other, leading up to him entering the World Coronation event. Now, he's traveling around the world trying to make his way up to the Master's 8, so he can face Leon the Monarch. I've heard about him. Word is they don't come stronger, Jackie says. This is where Ash asks what the Ranger has been doing over the last couple of years. Jackie says he's been in the field working undercover on some big case that has multiple agencies in cooperation. There are things that I can't talk about, but what I can say, it's a shame that you didn't become a Ranger, Ash. We could use a guy like you. Well, I have my own path to follow, Jackie. It's the only way I can become a Pokemon Master, Ash responds. I get it, kid. Just know, if you ever change your mind, there will be a place for you at the Rangers. Ash smiles as the boat sails off. The rest of the final day is spent getting prepared. Once they have their eyes on the Sea Temple, everyone will split up. Jackie and Drake lay out the plan. The Ranger and the Elite will go after Phantom. Doing this is their best way to prevent the pirate from capturing any of the crystals and compromising the barrier. Ash and his friends will find Manaphy and secure the crown itself. They will also have to run interference to make sure Kyogre doesn't get into the temple. The last thing that Ash and his friends want is another incident like what happened in Farina. So to make things easier, Ash suggests that May, Max, and Chloe find Manaphy, while he and Go use their Pokemon to distract the Sea Behemoth. That way, there is a third line of defense just in case things fail on either end. Jackie comments that he likes Ash's thinking, then asks if everyone understands their roles, to which they all nod. Good, Drake says, because we are getting close, as we pan out to see an unforgiving ocean rampaging with a storm unlike they had ever seen. In the direct path of their boat are multiple whirlpools, no doubt set by the Kingdra and its pre-evolutions. They do this as a way to defend themselves when they are in a breeding area, as not to have to waste their strength and fighting off predators. Now hang on, things are about to get bumpy. The ship is hit broadside with whirlpools as the mighty metal monster cuts through the storming ocean. The team holds on for dear life as the ship is hit from all sides, but the ship is mighty and refuses to go down. This continues as our heroes near the eye of the storm. The closer they get, the more intense the ride becomes. That is, until, without warning, the storm breaks, and suddenly the rough ocean gives way to calm, quiet seas. This sudden change catches everyone off guard as they are thrown forward with the ship coming to a sudden stop. Once our heroes collect themselves, everyone rushes to the deck to see what has impeded them from proceeding. However, this does not take long, as the ship has run aground on some rocks that are part of a small chain that leads to a singular island. While this in itself wouldn't be a big deal, what is actually happening at the island is Kyogre is just offshore, launching massive attacks at a lone piece of land using the water around it. The command the whale has over the surrounding water is so great that it's causing the ocean level to ebb and flow like if the tide was coming in. This is the reason the boat seemingly ran aground, as it is pushed into the rocks by the action. But the question is, why is Kyogre attacking this particular island? However, they won't have to wait long for an answer, as a phenomenon that Drake had described to go, the barrier begins to fade away with every attack of Kyogre, revealing the object that our heroes are looking for, the Sea Temple. But this isn't the only problem they can make out, as it seems that the temple has run aground on the island, and with the failing of the barrier, Kyogre seems to be gaining more power as it takes on that form that Ash, Max, and Go only saw in the video that Dr. Lund had shown them. It's here that May begins to scream, holding her head again. Manaphy, it's in danger, she yells. Phantom is there attacking it. These words are a call to action. Everyone mobilizes as quickly as possible. However, with Phantom now in the temple and Kyogre attacking from the outside, their well-laid plans become working on the fly, as Jackie uses his capture stylus to request the assistance of the Kingdra in its pre-evolution to get them through the rising tides that is caused by Kyogre's attacks. As the first contingent dives into the water bound for the temple, Ash and Go mount the back of Dragonite as they head off to the shoreline of the island. Once they are there, they release all of their Pokemon and begin an all-out assault on Kyogre, with Dragonite and Pikachu leading the charge. Luckily, the Electric Mouse is able to grab Kyogre's attention with a few well-timed thunderbolts that are amplified by the surrounding water. This draws the rage of the beast, with it firing water and ice attacks at the shoreline in an attempt to rid itself of this annoyance. Luckily, this is exactly what Ash and Go were going for, as the path has been cleared for the others to make their way to the temple with no interruptions. This is critical, as with Phantom inside, time is of the essence. Once they enter the temple from below the water, our heroes can finally take in the devastation of what's been happening on the inside. With the barrier failing so frequently, the attacks of Kyogre have been getting through, and it's caused destruction to the temple that may be irreversible, as they watch in real time as one of the barriers fails and Kyogre on the outside takes its primal form in the battle with Ash and Go. Jackie urges May and the others to move. They need to find Manaphy and, more importantly, Phantom. As our heroes make their way into the temple, the cries of Manaphy become louder, as now everyone can hear its pain echoing throughout the shrine. This ups the urgency of the groups as they head to what's being dubbed the throne room. Here, they are met with a sight that is heartbreaking to everyone. Phantom has removed several of the crystals from the temple base, and as the mangy pirate whistles a tune of victory while loading the crystals into his submersible, Manaphy lay beaten, battered at his feet, struggling to even move. Seeing this, May's heart begins to break as she rushes to it. Jackie tries to stop the girl, reaching out to grab her arm, but May moves far quicker than him, blowing the only advantage they have in the element of surprise. Realizing he's no longer alone, Phantom addresses his guests, telling them to come out of hiding. They're all friends here. Stepping out, the old pirate is elated to see his old, lifelong adversary. Jackie orders Phantom to stop this madness. He doesn't know what damage he is causing to the temple or its surroundings. However, Jackie is preaching to the choir. Phantom doesn't care about it. He never did. All he wanted was the sea crown. But after having a few years to think about things, Phantom realized something. The energy that one of these crystals gives off is massive. A whole region could potentially power itself for decades with just one of these. So I found myself a buyer, someone who would pay quite handsomely for these jewels. Hearing this, May begins to yell at the old man, telling him that he has done the unforgivable. Look at what you've done to Manaphy. However, Phantom just laughs at this notion that he ever had any feelings towards the water type. This causes her to send in Blastoise, ordering it to attack with the Hydro Pump in an attempt to end the pirate. But Phantom is no fool, holding up what appears to be a a detonator of some kind with a glowing red button. I wouldn't do that if I were you. You see, I had plenty of time to do as I pleased before you showed up. I knew that the great Jack Walker would come looking for me once I escaped, so after dealing with the temple's pathetic security, referring to Manaphy, Phantom planted explosives throughout the temple. So, one wrong move, and this place becomes a distant memory. May stops in the middle of her command, realizing that Phantom is holding all the cards. Or, so it seems, as there are a couple of members of the group that are unaccounted for, that being Max and Drake. Phantom continues to take the gems one by one from the crown as he taunts our hero's inability to do anything but watch. Then, the mangy pirate does something that causes May to see red, as he kicks Manaphy into the nearby pool, forcing her to watch the wounded mythical sink to the bottom. Luckily, the backup Jackie planned is in full effect, as Drake, using his Kingdra with the help of the others that Jackie enlisted, are able to secure the sea prince without drawing attention to themselves. But all of this changes when Phantom pulls another crystal from its resting place and something catastrophic happens. The barrier around the temple fully drops, exposing it to Kyogre outside. This is both a blessing and a curse, as Ash and Go have reached the limits of what they can do in battling the behemoth. With Kyogre's attention now averted, the two watch as the surrounding storm begins to close in on the island, as bright lights erupt from within the temple and Kyogre begins to swell with energy as it fully takes on its primal form. Shockwaves envelop the temple as the whale comes crashing into it to reach the innermost parts of the shrine, its power and rage growing as the supports give way to the stress that they have been put under. The violent trembling causes Phantom to drop the detonator as he struggles to stand while holding the crystal. This is where Jackie makes his move, jumping in while May orders Blastoise to dive into the water and find Manaphy. While this is happening, Chloe chases down the detonator as it bounces and tumbles down the pathway. The young girl and Eevee do their best, but unfortunately it's not good enough, as with Kyogre thrashing about, pillars and walls are crashing down all around her. It looks like this could be the end for the girl, until a command of a Hydro Pump is given from Drake and his Kingdra, saving her from being flattened like a pancake. Drake yells at her to come. They need to get out of here before that happens again. Eevee grabs the detonator as it and Chloe jump on the back of Kingdra before they dive, barely escaping from the collapsing room. Back in the main chamber of the temple, Jackie was able to subdue Phantom with a quick elbow to his face, but now the ranger is in a very real problem. Kyogre is almost to the main chamber, and if it gets here, then the temple will be doomed and the power balance of nature will be thrown all out of whack. This could be devastating for not only Hoenn, but the rest of the world, for if a never-ending storm were to take over, then all life would surely end. Looking down at the thrashing beast as it tears through the temple, Jackie does the only thing that he can do and readies his capture stylus. The ranger makes his first attempt to capture the beast, but fails immediately. Jackie adjusts the settings on the stylus to handle the increase of power from the legendary. Then he tries again. However, the worst thing that could happen does. When the second pass happens, the capture device overloads and short circuits. This has a far worse impact than we actually see at first, as not only is he defenseless against Kyogre, but as we shift perspective to under the temple with Max and Drake, they are doing their best to maintain the situation when the Kingdra that Max is riding begins to buck and swim, shaking the boy off before it and the rest of the evolutionary line take off from the area out of fear and self-preservation. Max is unsure on what to do because now he is a few dozen meters under the water with no way to move. Not only that, but the currents are too strong and he is being carried out to sea. Seeing this, Drake gives an order for his dragon type to catch the boy, but it's to no avail, as with the thrashing of Kyogre, Drake can barely hold on to take care of him and Chloe. The only thing the elite can do is watch as Max is carried off and Manaphy takes off after him. Over with May, she and Blastoise are doing their best to find Manaphy. However, the natural defense of the mythical makes it next to impossible to find it when water is the backdrop. May is beginning to panic as the emotional connection the two have has never truly faded, and she can feel the fear that Manaphy is going through. It's here that things are made much harder as May catches something being pulled out to sea from the corner of her eye. It's Max, and the boy is quickly losing consciousness. May is forced to make a really tough decision to save Manaphy or her brother. With her heart breaking, May points for Blastoise to go after Max, abandoning their search for the water type. The water starter uses all of its power, darting through the water. Luckily, it is able to catch the boy before it reaches the open ocean. May orders the turtle to surface before Max can no longer hold his breath. As they breach the surface and gasp for air, May hugs her brother in a panic, making sure he's alright. Max tells her to calm down. He's fine. Was she able to find Manaphy? The girl hangs her head as tears run down her cheek. Over on the beach, Ash and Go are trying to rally what forces they have left. For Go, Dragonite, Sabo, and Raboot are the only ones that are able to move, while Ash still has Bayleaf, Gengar, and Pikachu. Recalling the other Pokemon that are unable to battle any further, Go asks what they are going to do. Kyogre is too powerful. The only thing we can do, Ash says, we need to fight. We have to get into the temple and draw the attention of Kyogre once again. This is where May and Max join the two on the beach. The girl is broken, sobbing uncontrollably. Ash asks what happened in there. Max tells him that they found Phantom. He removed a lot of the crystals. That's what caused the barrier to fail. But he also hurt Manaphy, and we lost track of it in the water. This is where May speaks up. Jackie is in there all alone. If we don't hurry, then Kyogre will gain its full power, and the storm that circles above will take over the planet. How do we stop it though? It's not like we have another Deoxys just lying around in your backpack, Ash. However, a voice yells out to them from the water as Drake and Chloe surface. I know how we can fix this, Drake says. We need to get the barrier back up. The system of the temple is designed to keep out anything attacking it. If the barrier comes back online, then it will push Kyogre out, as it is perceived as a threat. Turning to what remains of the temple, the group knows that the only way they will be able to succeed is to head back inside. Ash tells them to leave Kyogre to him and his Pokemon. He has just the thing that might be able to help here. So, May and Drake take to the water. They will come up from under the temple. Ash will run interference and try to at least draw the attention of Kyogre. Max, Go, and Chloe will find Jackie and try to reassemble the sea crown before the temple collapses. With their roles all understood, the group breaks. As Ash and the others run down the beach to the temple, May and Drake take back to the water diving below. The two do their best to make it back to the temple through the water current, making it impossible, even with the fully evolved water types at their assistance. As they continue to struggle, May suddenly hears a faint cry coming from off in the distance that causes her to break formation with Drake, seemingly abandoning the elite. Now we shift over to the others as Ash breaks off. He tells them to find a way in. He will get Kyogre's attention. Just look for the sign before you make your move. As the storm circles overhead, Ash has an idea that may just do the trick. He tells all of his Pokemon to stand back. He then reaches into his bag next to his egg that is once again glowing in a slight aura energy. Ash then pulls out the one thing that could potentially stop Kyogre's rampage. Donning his Z-ring, he asks Pikachu if it's ready. The mouse sparks as the two begin their own energy transfer as their movements become one. As the two prepare their ultimate technique, above, a lone onlooker watches, curious about what is about to happen. Now we cut to the others as they make it to the temple that is connected to the land. They are unsure on how to get in with Kyogre flailing about within the temple, but then the sign that Ash warns happens as a bright light appears. Then a power that Chloe and Max have never witnessed happens as a surge of electricity tears through the surrounding ocean, using the water to amplify its destructive power. In a millisecond, the lightning-based attack finds its target, as Kyogre, glowing in its primal rage, is ravaged by the Z-move. This causes it to contort, as electricity is the one thing that Kyogre can't fend off being surrounded by water. This causes the beast to temporarily stop its attack on the temple, as it lay trying to recover from the paralysis. This is it, Go says. The three take to the opening to enter the now crumbling shrine, moving as quickly as they can to reach the main chamber. While they move with caution, the group is able to make it in, where they find Jackie and Phantom, a little hurt but still alive. Clearing the debris, the kids help Jackie to his feet. The ranger apologizes to Max right away. His stylus failed, and that's the reason the Kingdra had abandoned him. The boy tells him not to worry about it. They have more pressing matters. They need to put the jewels back in the crown. If they can get the barrier back up, then it should keep Kyogre out. Knowing this, they begin to clear the area around looking for the crystals. Phantom had removed 10, but quickly the group is able to find 7 of them. This leaves the question, where are the other 3? Luckily, they won't have to wait long as Drake breaks the now calm water holding 2 of the missing ones. They were found at the seafloor just below the temple, but Max notices that May isn't with Drake. Thinking something bad happened, the boy asks what happened to her, but the elite tells him not to worry. She should be here any second. True to his word, seconds later, May emerges not only with Blastoise, but Manaphy and the missing crystal. Great, Go says, let's put it in so we can get the barrier back up. But this is where May has to be the bearer of bad news, revealing that the crystal has been broken in 2. This is what had called her away from Drake, as Manaphy was signaling her to help it cover the 2 halves. Realizing that all of their efforts are in vain, the group then considers their options. This is where Phantom, of all people, offers a solution. At first, no one wants to hear what the mangy dog has to say, but Jackie tells them that if anyone knows about the temple, then it would be him, so they should at least hear him out. Phantom then points to the base of the sea crown. there is a description on it. He tells them that they are instructions on how to maintain the crystals, but unfortunately, they're not going to like the process on how to fix them. Outside, with Ash and all of his Pokemon, they are watching for any signs of movement. However, much to the boys' relief, it looks like their attack was able to take out Kyogre, but this is a false sense of security, as in the temple, the jewels begin to glow as Kyogre awakens, draining them of more energy in order to heal itself. However, the ancient well is, at least for the moment, no longer interested in the temple, now having its sights set on Ash and his Pokemon. It's here that things take a turn for the worst as Kyogre begins to drop the temperature of the surrounding area, freezing the ocean. The legendary strikes the island with sheer cold, trying to strike at Ash and his Pokemon, as he is the only one that the beast perceives as a threat. While the attack misses as Kyogre struggles to free itself from the bindings of the temple, the second one isn't so lucky for our hero, as the attack is so massive that neither Ash or his Pokemon can do anything to avoid it. Ash does nothing but watch as what can possibly be the end. From the perspective of the temple, his friends watch this in real time as they discuss the solution that Phantom proposed, which has May in tears as it's an option that she's unwilling to entertain. As the way she sees it, there has to be another way, but Drake confirms what Phantom speaks is the truth. And what is the option that Phantom proposed, you may ask? Well, the depictions that are on the base of the crown is actually a story. The reason Manaphy is able to find the temple, unlike any other Pokemon outside of Kingdra, is a very simple yet dark one. The jewels that make up the crown are the crystallized life force of previous Manaphys over the thousands of years that the temple has existed. Every time a Manaphy's life cycle ends, they turn into a crystal and they are added to the crown, where they can continue to protect their home for the rest of eternity. There is no true way to fix a broken crystal. They can only replace it, and there is only one way to do that. However, no one will entertain the idea, as it means that they will have to sacrifice Manaphy. But there is a more pressing problem that they're going to have to face. Kyogre is draining all of the other crystals of their energy by being close. They need to figure out a way to re-energize them so they can fix the crystals they can and get the barrier back up. As the lights of the jewels dim, our heroes know they are on limited time. That's when Manaphy decides that it will no longer sit by as it struggles to break free from May's grasp, taking back to the water, heading in the direction of Kyogre and the frozen tundra that it has created it. Now we shift over to Ash as the boy with Pikachu in his arms and his other two Pokemon look as they can't believe what they are witnessing right in front of them. A Latios has intercepted the attack of Kyogre, preventing Ash and his Pokemon from being flash frozen. It takes a second, but Latios is able to fend off the attack using all of its strength. Ash thanks the dragon for saving them, wondering why it would do something like that, but they have little time for conversation as a Hydro Pump is now headed their way. At his command, Bayleaf, Gengar, and Pikachu team up with Latios to divert the attack of the beast, causing Kyogre to grow more frustrated. However, this frustration becomes a cry of pain as something strikes the whale from beneath the waves, causing it to thrash about. It's here that May and the others are revealed, calling to Ash, seeing if he is alright. The boy says he's fine, but they need to stay back. Something is wrong with Kyogre. This place is becoming too dangerous. May yells that it's Manaphy. The mythical is attacking Kyogre from under the water, but they have to stop it, or Manaphy will be in danger. While Ash understands this, as the power of Kyogre is greater, he doesn't yet know the severity of the situation, but he orders his Pokemon in on an attack, asking if Latios would lend him his power one more time. While the dragon remains silent, it proceeds into battle with the rest of Ash's Pokemon. The humans do what they can to help Manaphy attack Kyogre, but it's to little avail, as they are easily brushed aside by the primal monster. This includes Manaphy, who is briefly washed up on shore looking very winded and hurt. Seeing this, May rushes to it, but the mythical looks at the human, then manages to speak out the word stop. It then dives back into the water. May is left speechless, trying to figure out what just happened. She can do nothing but break down in tears as she watches Manaphy continue to risk its life to stop the water terror from causing any more harm. While Max does the best to console his sister, Drake does his best to explain that she has to let Manaphy do this. Her holding it back is stopping it from doing what it was born to do. And just what is that, May asks with frustration and sadness in her voice. It is the guardian of the Sea Temple. By nature, it will put its life on the line in order to protect it at all costs. Whether you want to hear it or not, right now, you are part of the problem, not the solution. Now you can sit here feeling sorry for Manaphy, or you can help it save its home. What will it be, girl? May looks at Drake, then out to the ocean, as Ash and the rest have rejoined the Sea Prince in order to help it. Standing up, May knows what she has to do, no matter what her feelings are. Calling to their water types, the two descend back into the battle as everyone tries their best to take out Primal Kyogre. However, in this moment, now that May has put her personal feelings aside, she can feel Manaphy in its desires. The mythical isn't trying to defeat Kyogre, it's trying to get it back into the temple. Realizing they are actually impeding Manaphy's progress, they need to force Kyogre back into the temple. It's what Manaphy is trying to do. With their new direction, everyone begins to push the water type back in with all the force that they have. Drake even includes his Salamence and Flygon in an effort to change the course of the beast. Luckily, Kyogre is so blinded by its ambitions, when it sees what it perceives an opening in the defense, the whale takes off for the temple once more in an attempt to drain what's left of the power so it can keep its ultimate form permanently. This is where we shift to Jackie, as the injured ranger has been doing his best to get the rest of the crystals back into place. The only one left is the broken one, but then he gets a rude awakening when May yells from Jackie to clear the way. Realizing that Kyogre is coming back, Jackie grabs Phantom, who has been silently trying to break his binds, and runs for any cover that they can find as the whale comes crashing back into the temple. However, this time Manaphy is there to greet it, as the prince uses its abilities to reach out to Kyogre telepathically, putting it into somewhat of a zombified state. It's in this moment that Manaphy begins to glow as a transfer of energy is reversed back into the jewels of the crown. One by one, each begin to glow with the life force it previously held. Then Manaphy breaks its link with Kyogre, leaving the whale temporarily drained as it reverts back to its original form. The mythical then begins to spark with recoil from the process it just went through. As it struggles to crawl across the floor to the sea crown, this is where May and the others reach the area to see what is happening. Realizing what the mythical is trying to do, May walks over in tears and picks it up. The water type can do nothing but lay in her arms as May talks softly to it. It was painful enough to say goodbye the first time, and now you're gonna make me do it again. But unlike last time, there won't be a chance for another one, will there? May asks. Manaphy can say nothing but a brief cry of its name, almost to say that everything will be alright. Manaphy will always be here. May can't look the mythical in its eyes, as it uses its antenna to rub her cheek and the tears that flow down from them. Slowly, May walks to the area of the crown, her heart breaking with each step. As she stops in front of it, Drake stands next to her. It's fading fast. Say your goodbyes. If we don't repair the crown now, then when Kyogre awakens, all of this will begin again, which means Manaphy's sacrifice will be in vain. Please just give us a moment, May says. The Dragon Master turns, telling everyone to leave the chamber. This is something she has to do on her own. As they all exit, Go asks if that was a Latios that saved Ash. Our hero then turns to say yeah, it was, and then he tries to thank the dragon type, only to find that it has gone. But Ash still thanks it for saving him and his Pokemon. Little does the boy know, Latios, though not there right now, has imprinted on him as it can feel what he feels. So it is fully aware of what Ash said as it flies off into the skies of Hoenn, bursting through the clouds as the storm fades from existence. Moments later, back at the temple, things begin to shift as all the debris begins to float and the barrier comes back up and it slowly starts to repair itself, however it can. This is where May appears, trying to hold back a flood of emotions. Manaphy is resting, she says, so it's best we go. The temple then slowly ejects Kyogre and all the explosives that Phantom had planted as the barrier dislodges it from the cliffside and the island that it was caught on. With our heroes on the shore of the island, they watch as the sea temple slowly sinks back beneath the waves, hiding in plain view once more. But as May says her final goodbye to the Sea Prince, she notices something that looks familiar come loose from the temple. Smiling, May suddenly has a bit of relief wash over her, though the grief she had will always be something that she has to deal with. This just leaves Kyogre floating just offshore as it slowly comes to. Once the legendary is able to focus, it simply dives back beneath the ocean, realizing that it lost. Now we have to deal with the overwhelming issue of our heroes on the island. They are kind of trapped, and they have to do something about Phantom. Drake tells Jackie that they will use Flygon and Salamence to transport the convict back to his boat that's a little over a couple of miles offshore. Unfortunately, with the ice that is still frozen in the ocean around the island, this will be the only way they can get him off the island. Ash and his friends are okay with this, as the rest of their Pokemon are all beaten and worn out. Even Go's Dragonite isn't able to fly at the moment, so they all elect to stay on the island for the time being being until Drake can return and pick them up. With nothing to do on this island but wait, our heroes decide to have a look around to see if there's any wild fruit, because Ash and Pikachu are both complaining that their stomachs are growling. But fruit isn't what they find. Instead, they find what looks like to be ruins that bear similar markings to what the Sea Temple had. It can't be Go thinks to himself, rushing in to look at them. However, the boy doesn't know what he just did, as these ruins are protected by forces that nobody is prepared to deal with after the battle that they just had. Go finds this out firsthand as he stops to look at the carvings on the wall that is clearly a depiction of Mew. But before he can even touch the wall, a bright light is headed his way. Jumping at the last moment, Go finds that he and his friends are surrounded by the Reggie trio, as all the humans are perceived as intruders in the temple they have been assigned to guard. With all their Pokemon drained, the group can do nothing but run, trying to avoid any attacks from these legendaries. Unfortunately, the island is only so big, and our heroes eventually find themselves trapped on a cliffside with only the frozen water below. Every one of them ready a Pokeball in an attempt to make one last stand, but as the Reggies fire one final combination attack, the sounds of propeller blades are heard, and from the sky, a set of figures drop in front of our heroes. Two Pokemon that they have never seen before that engage in battle with the Reggies. Then a voice that sounds familiar to Go, Quillen, who is hanging out of the chopper above, giving these two fierce battlers commands. The two Pokemon work in perfect unison, subduing the Reggies, allowing Quillen to do something that Go could only dream of. He watches in real time as Quillen uses a set of Ultra Balls to capture the Reggies with little resistance. The boy is stunned as the helicopter lands in front of them, with Quillen asking if they are alright. Wait, haven't I met you guys before? Ash, right. And your name is Go. It's Go, he yells back, as Quillen is the last person he wanted to see today. But Quillen has already moved on, ignoring Go as he addresses a person in the helicopter. Then an old man jumps out, telling everyone sorry for their rude entrance. But it didn't look like they had much time with what they were facing. So tell me, what are you all doing on this island? Ash tells the man that they were dealing with a Pokemon known as Kyogre, but it's gone now. The man looks a bit sad about that, as Quillen states that it must have been the source of the energy they were following. Looks like it, but does it really matter? We are finally on the fabled Mirage Island. Now, let's not leave anything unturned. Begin setting up everything at once. Our heroes watch as a bunch of people descend on the island to begin setting up some sort of base camp. This one action is the final nail in the coffin for Go, as he bursts out yelling, demanding to know who these people are and how dare they enter this island uninvited. The old man simply chuckles as he addresses Go by name, which stops him. Professor Oak told me all about you. My name is Professor Amaranth. Have you ever heard of something called Project Mew? Now we shift to a place that is far from the island and the oceans of South Hoenn, a place called Meteor Falls. Here, a girl sits with her Whismer, looking into the skies as the storm clouds are beginning to fade away. Well, Aster, it looks like they both have awakened once more. 2 times in 2 years, the legend is coming true. Come, it's time we made preparations to summon the ruler of the skies, because if we don't, everyone will then perish. And this is where we are going to end Season 2 of What If Ash Won the Pokemon World Championships. So, tell me, how did you feel about Ash's return to Hoenn and the adventures that he had? What was your favorite part of this season? Why is Latios following Ash? Who is the girl, and are her intentions malicious? What does it have to do with our heroes? How do you feel about my continuations to Jirachi, Wishmaker, and the Temple of the Sea to tie them into the story? And most of all, what are you hoping for in Season 3? Let me know in the comments down below. And that's all we had for today's video. I really appreciate you guys stopping by to watch all the way to the end, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. If you guys really enjoy my content, consider following me on some of my other platforms like Discord, where you can get to know other people who are interested in what ifs, or on Twitter, where I post sometimes behind the scenes updates. Or if you want to help the channel grow a little bit extra, why don't you consider donating like the people right here have, as whatever you could offer could help us get to a larger audience by helping us get new videos done, or some of the projects that we've been working. Custom art is getting kind of expensive, so we want to make sure that we have the funds to do that. But with all that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed everything, and I will see you in the next video.